Hello there, Chris here from Becker's Models, and welcome to another edition of Talking Models, a monthly sort of fireside chat where I just sit here for a little bit and we talk about our great hobby, and I ask some questions and you give me some answers and we come up with another topic for the next time. In this month's edition, first one for the year, I'd like to talk about something that I've kind of addressed sideways in the past, about stashes, about all these model kits that we sort of collect, and that is collecting models a separate hobby from the hobby itself. I mean, you know, my kids come downstairs sometimes and they open my stash cabinet and they go, "Oh, Dad, you got too many models." And I'm like, well, actually, I don't intend to build them all. I just like to collect a few of them here and there. So that's what I want to talk about in this episode. But I will talk about two other things as well. So three things. Let's talk about is collecting a viable hobby? You know, is it part of the hobby? I mean, can it be separate? And to that end, I'll show you my little collection of stuff that I know that I'm about 90% sure I'm never going to build, but I just love the models. I think they're great. Maybe one day if I retire early, and I've been working my guts off this last few months, I've still got another month of double time work before I can get back into actually building anything. So I'll show you that little collection. Might do that first, might do that last, not sure. And then the other thing is this big stack here I've got here. I've bought some new kits over the last couple of months and I just want to share them with you. And again, just to show you that, you know, sometimes you buy stuff not with the full intention of building them. Some of them, like when they rock up at my door, most of them I buy online, I open them up and I'm like, oh my god, I need to build this straight away. So I want to talk about those sort of feelings you have with your models and what's going on. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this month's episode. So the question is collecting models a separate hobby? And I've got a trademarked term I call, you know, there is more than one hobby. I believe that within plastic modelling there are actually various hobbies that run alongside each other, and sometimes they sort of bump up along the way when we meet each other at competitions. The car modeler guys see the aircraft models and go, oh wow, and the aircraft modelers go to the car guys, the motorbike guys, and go, oh wow. But within those hobbies there are other ones, and I've always said that. I always think that you can't just lug everyone in together to say, oh, everyone wants to do Shep Payne style armour modelling, and everyone wants to be a perfect, you know, Rick Lawler sort of style, or Mig Jimenez, or, you know, I've got videos about this. I'll put a link up there if I can, just to show you. I think there's about 3 different types of modelers within every group. You know, we might buy a new model and there's 3 different approaches to it, and they're all valid. That's the thing I want to get across. It's all valid. If you want to be the guy who just opens up a model, put it together, tube glue, you know, fingerprints and all, you put it on a little flight stand, you put it on your shelf, you paint it with some, you know, enamels out of a tin, great, fantastic. If you're someone who's obsessed about the details, like to count every rivet, make sure everything's all right, and you spend an inordinate amount of money on aftermarket and extras, and you want to modify it, great. We're all different, that's great. So the other thing though is stashes. What's a stash? Is it one of these? I'll see if I can get a funny picture up there of, yeah, I'm a stash, your question. What's a stash? Now there are some really weird, perverted, having just said that, you know, let's include everyone in the hobby, there are some really weird people out there. They buy a model, they build the model, they put the model on the shelf, and then they think about what they're going to buy next. They don't actually have a cache, a stash, a pile of boxes in a corner, in a cabinet, under a bed, like the rest of us do. And that's fine. Those are weird people, we're not talking about them. What I'm talking about are the people who, the rest of us, who we see a new model, or we see an old model, we see something that we might have built as a child or as a teenager, and we're like, oh, I really want to get that one again. And because most of us are fairly cashed up, I mean, it has to be said, this is a very cheap hobby, well, I think so. I mean, I earn a fairly good crust, so I guess I could say, for me, I can justify what I do with my collections and so forth, and my wife is very supportive of that. I'm not one of these people who says, oh, you've got to sneak it past the missus and all sort of stuff. She knows that this is really good therapy for me. It's really way of, you know, putting out what I like to do, my artistic side if you want to call it, or just therapy from work. I mean, that's what I do. As I've been working, I've been doing some publishing and writing articles this last few weeks, you know, meeting deadlines. The best thing to do is after you've done that, you've got to relieve your stress. As I turn my chair around, go to the modelling bench and I build a tank. Been building a little Tamiya Stug 3 that I half finished years ago. I thought, oh, I'll finish that one off over the summer break. So where was I going with that? Yeah, stashes. We've all got different types of stashes. I've got to admit, I have over 100 kits, okay? If you want to look at my stash, I've got scale mates, and I've talked about how to manage your model kit stash before. But I know that I'm not going to be able to build all those, so why buy them? That's the question. Why do you buy kits? And then I have another thing, what I like to do, and maybe it's the trader in me, that's my full-time profession, is I like to buy and sell them. I really like finding bargains and going, oh wow, that's a great kit, and you bring it home or wherever, and you look at it and you go, well, it looked good, maybe it's not for me, and you sell it off. And I really like that sort of experience, and I've cycled through hundreds of kits in my career. I mean, I've only been modelling for since 2014, I think. So we'll come up to 10 years, and I've probably bought and sold 500 kits, easy, in that time. I really love that aspect of the hobby, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that sort of collecting sort of phase. And because I'm the sort of person I am, I have a very detailed spreadsheet of all the models I've bought and where I got them and what's in them, and you know, what I intend to do with them, little notes about, oh, I'd love to do this with that. And I must admit, I don't keep models for a long time. So I think I've only got 1 or 2 models from 2014. In fact, Rick Lawler, he's on my mind at the moment because he built the Renault FT17 from Takom, the 116, and I've got that kit. I've still got it. I think that's my 2014 purchase that's still left. I've only got a couple of kits from 2015. I've only got about 20 kits from 2017 to 2019. I actually like to buy the new stuff, and as my modelling has progressed and evolved, I've recycled. So things that I thought at the time when I bought them, and I built a few of that sort of era, you know, like some Tamiya 1990s stuff, aircraft. After a while, you realise there's better kits out there. There's other ones that are more suited to me, and as you know, the hobby is not dying in one iota at all. If anybody says that, they're wrong. They're completely wrong. It's fantastic. The hobby's booming. It's going great guns. And you can see that all the new releases that are coming out, all these new kits, and I'll show you some of them in a minute. We're inundated with brand new stuff, and in fact for me that's a bit too much. You know, I buy everything. I just go, ooh, I want that, and then I end up selling them to my mates for a bargain. So that's what my approach has been, is different from most others. I don't collect older kits, although I do have a few old ones, and I've got them on the chair over there. I will share with you in a minute. I like to collect and build up sort of my own pseudo hobby store. So I've got a double wide cabinet over there. You've probably seen it in a few videos, and that's my ready to go collection of kits that I really want to build one day, and I probably won't build them all because I'm only averaging, well, numbers, you can't really bring numbers. I mean, look, I'm looking at a Border Lancaster 132, that's one kit, and then I've got a Armour Hobby 172 piece P51 up there, that's one kit. You can't say if I finish one and I finish the other one, they're the same. No. You can build 20 P51 little 172s before you get the Lancaster finished. So what I'm trying to say is here that collecting models can be a separate hobby. That's basically what I'm trying to say. But it can be an adjunct to your hobby. You can overlap. You know, you can use your nostalgia and say, oh, I've got these old kits and one day I'd like to tackle them. For example, I think Harry Houdini, he got a Airfix Sunderland recently off someone who, you know, gave it to him as a present. And you know, that brings back memories from him when he was I can't believe when he was a child. I mean, he probably wasn't that much shorter. Oop, shouldn't say that. When he built them, okay? And that's great. But for me, I really like collecting the new stuff. I get really excited about what's coming out, get interested in them. And I also sort of hedge my bets, and there's nothing wrong with this and I guess one of the best examples of that is the P47. Everyone's been clamoring for Tamiya to release a new 1/32 scale, man scale P47. Now Hasegawa do one, Trumpeter do one. They're great kits. They're not Tamiya, but they're not Italeri. They're not terrible. They're not, you know, they have been built, and there are hundreds and thousands out there. People have done them up really, really nicely. But they have, between the both of them, some faults and flaws. And everyone's clamoring for Tamiya. Oh, come on, can you do a P47? I mean, they've got the engine. They can use the engine from the Corsair series, more or less. But it hasn't come out, because Tamiya now are really sort of doing 1/48 scale. And even their 1/48 scale P47, which is pretty much the best you can get, could still be upgraded again. So what people do is you hedge your bet. So you buy a Hasegawa P47 and you think, oh, I might tackle that one day. I might do that one day. I'll wait for the Tamiya. And then you give up and you go, oh, I'll just build it. And then Tamiya will bring it out. So a lot of that hedging is involved. And I think I've got yeah, here it is. I've got a Hellcat. I've got a Trumpeter Hellcat, which is Not renowned for being the most accurate Hellcat out there in any scale. I've built their Hobby Boss version, which is basically a pantomime of this one. But again, there's, apart from the Airfix 124 massive beastie, which has its own problems and its own good bits and bad bits, there's no really 132 Hellcat that's superb. Okay, there's quite a few good kits out there. But again, it's all about hedging your bets and knowing that it's a good kit that goes together well. So if you ever get that urge, there it is, you can do it. Which leads me to the next bit, which is where collecting kits, and I've said it before, it's sort of like having your own hobby store. And we've had the death of the bricks and mortar hobby store, haven't we? More or less, kind of. There's a few holding out, but most stuff's online. And I prefer to have a lot of kits ready to go. So if I think to myself, oh, I really want to do this. Oh, I've got one of those. Boom, I can get straight into it instead of having to, you know, find it, see if it's available anymore, see if it's online. And then during COVID, of course, it was really hard to actually get a lot of these kits because of the international shipping crisis. And that's something to take into account in the years ahead. And as, you know, shipping gets more expensive and so forth, a lot of us have built up a stash that we call Sable. Let's see if I can put the letters up there. Stash Acquisition Beyond Life Expectancy, Sable. That we've got enough kits that if you do the math, yeah, you got enough. I mean, I'm nearly 50. I don't know how long I'll be doing this hobby for. I've got another hobby in the works that I really want to get into in a few years' time, but I've got enough. Okay, so there is that pressure there to say, well, are you really collecting, or are you really putting together a group of kits that you want to build one day, or you're just collecting because you like to collect them? And you know, let's be honest. Let's be really honest. This hobby is all about pleasure. It's all about you know, getting from the bustle and heyday of everyday life and family and looking after kids and looking after elderly parents and work and everything else. We do this to relax. We do this to, you know, to depress. Depress? What's the word? I can't remember. What's the opposite of oppress? Congress. So the thing is, I sometimes love just grabbing a kit out of the box, putting it on the bench and just opening it. And just going through the sprues and reading the instructions, and sometimes there's a historical blurb and that's interesting, and or you might cut a few pieces off and you might think, oh, and mock it up and go, oh, that looks great in that 3D presentation. Then you calmly put it back together, put it back in the box, and put it back in the stash. There's nothing wrong with that. If somebody says to you, oh, you're just wasting time, tell them to rack off. Tell them to piss off, okay? No, that is a pleasure in of itself. It's like having a book that, oh, I really want to read this book, and you take it down from the bookshelf and you flick through it and you look at some of the pictures, you know, picture book. I mean, there are books that just have words in them, apparently. Wow. So you read through that and you have a look at it and you go, yeah, I want to have a go at that one time, and then you put it back in the bookshelf. You might not touch it for 2 years. That's the equivalency. So don't get hung up on people saying, oh, you know, you're just collecting, you're not actually going to build them, you know, you're just fart-arsing around with them. Yeah, so my time, my hobby, I can do what I want. So that's answering that question. I hope I've done that in that little off the cuff. That's completely off the cuff. I'm doing this right now as the kids have racked off to their piano lessons. So I've got some quiet time here. It's the last week of holidays. Oh my God, thank dog below, they go back to school next week. Let's have a look. This is my box. I've got a couple of these moving boxes full of collectible kits. And you're thinking to yourself, why the heck is there a Bandai kit at the top there? Well, this C-3PO R2-D2 boxing, you can get the R2 one with another droid and with the sequel movie stuff, which we won't talk about. It's really hard to find this one, this particular boxing, with just these two, the iconic pair. Extremely difficult to find, and when you do find it, they're an arm and a leg and, you know, and everything else. So that's why it's in this box. I don't think I mean, my son has stolen it a few times and I've had to run upstairs and grab it back off him, because that's what he does with my Bandai stuff. He grabs it and builds them. Next one I've got here is the Fine Mold Slave 1, or now politically correct Boba Fett Starship. Yeah, this is definitely a collectible, very hard to find. It's also got Han Solo and Carbonite there. So that's one that I just saw Sarah Stapleton, Sarah from Staples and Vines. She made an absolutely amazing 3D printed version of Slave 1. I've got a 3D printer. Do I go down that track and do my own? This is in 1/72 scale, so it does fit with my Millennium Falcon and other stuff. like a Fondor Hallcraft that just came up on 3D printing, or, you know, and then sell this off, because I'm sure there's other people out there who just want to go straight into this or just want to add it to their collection. Alright, so I've got Tamiya kits in my collection, in my, you know, collectibles. What the heck are they? Well, you might be able to see one there. That's the Dornier, and that's the Swordfish. Let me get them out. So here's the Dornier Firefall. I've built this kit before, but not in the Destroyer version with the big gun pods. I've got the H&K Models version of this in 132, which is an absolute beast. I got that for my birthday many years ago. So this one is hard to find. It's very hard to find. Tamiya sometimes they do runs and they just don't re-release them. They have re-released this this year, the base model, the A version, not the B2, with a Kettenkrad. So they might re-release this, but again, this is one of these kits that just doesn't seem to come up, and when I saw it, had to grab it. Same thing can be almost said for the Swordfish. So this is the float plane version. Absolutely love this aircraft. It's such an iconic thing, the string bag. I love it in the float plane version. Again, very hard to find. When they come up, they get snapped up super quick, so that's what I did, but that's one I really want to build. All accounts are that it's an absolute pleasure to build. I've got the photo etch for the rigging, for the stays in between the wings, and yeah, it just looks magnificent. So technically in my collectible not to be built pile, but oh, I'm itching to do those, but I've got so many others. Now I won't get them out because, well, they're worth a bit of money these days. If you look on eBay, ridiculous money for these wingnut wing kits. There has been a few sales, Sprue Brothers and Andy Hobby Headquarters and other places done some stock runs, but damn hard to find the Hansa Brandenburg float planes, and they're my favourite out of all the wingnut wings. And Harry Houdini's built the W12. It looks like an absolutely fantastic build. The W29 is actually deceptively a large aircraft. It's a monoplane, it's quite big. Yeah, again, two of those kits that are probably going to stay in this box for a little while longer, but I'd love to tackle them, but you need all your attention because they are quite delicate, quite complex. And then moving to the Kitty Hawk, the now defunct Kitty Hawk, that's the Kingfisher. Sorry about the glare there. Are we getting that right? Okay, so there's the float plane, the OS2U. Same sort of get up for other sort of ones, the reason why they're in this box. So hard to find. They're discontinued. No, they don't make them anymore. This one's got every single aftermarket known to man inside the box. The person who was selling it, he sold me everything in there, so I was very grateful for that. And then talking about Kitty Hawk, their offshoot company Panda, which started making 116 stuff. And look at that, there's a price table on that, 160 bucks. Yeah, you can't find this one for that sort of money. That's the Panzer 38T. Sorry about the glare there. That's that great little tank from the Czech Republic that the Germans took over. Great kit, has a few little minor problems with it, but not really anything it's pretty simple. And again, that's one I really want to do one day. I love 1/16 scale for the smaller subjects, so it makes sense for me, that scale. Now, I've got a few white boxes here. What are those? Well, I won't pull them all out, but these are resin kits. Now, I admit I am not skilled enough to tackle them yet. I bought them on spec that I could actually do them one day. What's this one? Okay, Fisher. Right. Unfortunately, he lost his whole workshop in a fire, and so all these kits, you can't get them anymore. So that's the RB51. That's a Reno racer, and this box here is the Profi model of 1/24 scale. I think it's the Gloucester Meteor. Okay, so that's a spec buy. Again, these are all full resin, and this one is, yeah, the Aerotech, the S6 or S5. I can't remember. What is it? S5? S6. I was right. So that's the precursor to the Spitfire, basically. That's the Schneider Cup. So one day, when I feel I'm more comfortable working with resin, maybe I need to start with a small resin kit to start with. Here's the box art for this one. Absolutely beautiful aircraft, the Gloucester Racer. 1/24 scale is a great scale for Schneider Cup because those aircraft are quite small. Well done if you stuck here through to the end. I've got a few more kits to show you, and we'll call this episode over. This is my little stash of Revell kits. I don't get on well with Revell that well. Maybe I'm not good enough to to finish their models, but they do make a few quite eclectic model kits. And in fact, I've done a review on one I might publish next week. That's a bit weird and a bit different, but the float plane. This one rarely comes up, and I almost sold this, and then I realised I've got to stick to my guns. I really, really like civilian subjects, and I think there should be more civilian subjects in our aircraft hobby, and this is the Piper PF-18 with the amphibious pontoons there to make into a float plane. It does include the wheels as well. Very rare kit, barely never comes up, but it's a basic kit. It does need a little bit of help. So we'll tackle it one day perhaps. I really need to get into doing water displays. Now here's a weird one, upside down Miss Jane. We've got the Arado E555. Now again, another Panzer paper Panzer. This one was sold for $10.95, I don't know how many years ago. I didn't pay that, I had paid about 5 times that much. It just looks like a really cool thing. And then I found out, because I bought this on spec, because I looked at the instructions online and it shows it's wheels up capable out of the box. All the things close up. It doesn't include pilots, but that's easy to do. But apparently these are as rare as rocking horse poo. Can't get them anywhere, so I'm a bit vacillating. Maybe I was just going to, slam this one together, put some work into making a really cool camouflage scheme, and again maybe do a captured version, maybe some French markings or whatever. But yeah, there it is. So that's a fun one. And then we get the Salamander. Now I'm just looking at the Tamiya one that's in my display cabinet. I've done this in 148, and it's quite small. It's a small aircraft, and this, by all the reviews and all the builds, I think what's his name, Radu Binzan, he's done a fantastic version of this. Again, it's supposedly wheels up capable. I'd love to do it in flight like that, perhaps maybe even a steeper bank, and try to do. I did the wood effects. I'll see if I can put the link up to the one I did there. Great kit, looks fantastic, and again, barely comes up. $45 I think I paid for that one. And then the last one is, again, another discontinued, almost never see them, quite a rare kit, and yeah, the Arado seaplane. It's just a fantastic aircraft, supposedly one of Revell's best kits that they've ever made. So again, that's the reason why I've got it in my stash of maybe I'll build it one day, maybe I'll just keep it in the collecting pile, I don't know, but definitely not in the ones I want to do straight away, which is the other 100 plus. Got a few more to show you. I forgot to show you my Airfix collection. Yes, I actually do like Airfix. Okay, I have been collecting a few of their older stuff. I really like their this stuff literally from when I was born. Okay, this is all their wildlife things. I have built, what is it, the bullfinches that's over there. I've built them, I just need to paint them. I think that's fantastic. I really wish they'd bring out more. I mean, now they've got 3D printed animal files, it's not that much of a drama. I've got the Airfix R69. I actually bought one of these and then sold it to Harry Houdini, and he built it. And I shouldn't have done that. I should have kept it. This is one of my favourite motorbikes of all time, and it's a fantastic kit. He built it up, did a fantastic job. I've got an original white box. It's a bit battered, but all the parts are perfect inside. £1.35p. It's still all boxed up, ready to go. That might be something I might build one day, believe it or not. And that goes alongside this one as well. And that's the Matchbox Strenraya. This is one that comes up occasionally for a lot of money, $50, $60, $70 sometimes, for a very old and not the best kit in the world. Multicoloured sprues and what have you, but it's just, the Strenraya is just an amazing looking beast. So that's why I've got it. The last one to show you, then we'll call this a day, is I've really wanted to make a wooden ship. My first hobby when I was a teenager was making remote control boats. And this would be something that I'm really interested in. So I've got one of these Artesia Latinas. I don't know how to pronounce it. The Mary Jean. Really love the French fishing boats. I've actually got a Hella plastic one of these similar ones, not the exact same ship, and a few other ones that I want to do. But yeah, what a challenge that would be. Maybe I'll do that in a few years' time, because I think I'm going to have to put aside everything and just concentrate on how the hell do I build a wooden ship. I'm an aircraft modeler. So anyway, let's leave it there. I hope you enjoyed that little talking model segment. I hope you enjoyed having a look at some of my collectible models, some of the new stuff I've got going. I would love to hear your comments. I'm trying to respond to comments as much as I can. I've got a few, I've got a backlog. Everyone leaves lots of comments on my videos, which is great. I guess it's good for YouTube. They pump the video, they advance it through the algorithm. I don't know how that works, but leave a comment. I will reply to you. Love to hear your thoughts on what you think collecting, about the hobby itself, about what do you think about the kits that I've bought recently, and some of the old stuff that I'm a bit hesitant to start. But until next time, I will say goodbye, but it's going to be a while until you see a new build video or my new deliberate practice series. So, you know, probably 3 or 4 weeks at least. This is coming out almost end of January, so probably end of February before I really get stuck into stuff. So that's why I'm doing these sort of little filler videos right now. And I'll have a review up next week and maybe another little sneak peek at some of the other models in my stash. Just ask me what ones you'd like me to have a look at. So until then, happy modelling.